Week is a very big week in the world of Harry and Meghan, make no mistake, simply because, of course, the ex-royal duo have to make sure that they impress someone that they hopefully have impressed already on the world stage. Oh yes, that's right, because of course, as we saw at the recent Bob Marley premiere, and by the way, I don't know if you noticed this, but even though it was supposed to be a magical event over there in Jamaica, well, seemingly one of the biggest stars of that movie, which is known to a lot of people around the world, was none other than this guy. That's right, James Norton. He's playing the original Island record bosses who signed Bob Marley all those years ago to the burgeoning Island Records, Chris Blackwell. I met him, by the way. Yes, yes. And one of the people that put that label together, it's so funny, isn't it, how it all intercollides. Used to be my boss at a radio station because he bought one of the very big radio stations now over here at that time in London called Heart. Yeah, all part of Chrysalis. You see how everything, it all works in the end, doesn't it? But what's fascinating about this particular story is truly this. Let me explain. Morning, nice to see you. Thank you so much for joining me today. By the way, thank you for your lovely comments regarding the banking stuff. I'm glad you all agree with me. I find it odd to think that somebody could be in your lounge discussing the few pennies that you've now got left and where it could go. I mean, it's ridiculous to think. I know a lot of you out there will remember, like me, when you used to go into a bank, it was very much them and us, wasn't it? All the glass behind them and everything that you did. If you were called in to see the manager, well, it was a bit of a frightening experience, and everybody in the queue looked at you, didn't they? Like you must either have an overdraft or indeed you'd won the pools. That's an old saying, isn't it? Who remembers that now? But you know what I mean. Now, obviously, when you think about Harry and Meghan, as I say, they literally went halfway round the world to try and secure something. A deal a little bit like this. This was because, of course, Paramount were schmoozing them. They were schmoozing Paramount, and they hoped that Paramount finally would see the light. Now, what's interesting, that Harry and Meghan did fly back on the private jet of Paramount, the DB700 Belvedere. And it's fascinating when you think, because there they go on about the travelist and saving the planet and you and I with the climate change, and it's down to each and every one of us. Do you remember when they bored us all senseless at Citizen World or whatever it was called? But it's always about them, and we're supposed to schlep everywhere, maybe in a mobility scooter if you're lucky enough, but no, they can sit in the luxury of private jets. Now, of course, they're hoping that big flight back will have been enough to secure a particular role with, as I say, Bob, the boss of Paramount. Now, as we all know, their Netflix deal is dangling by a thread because they haven't really delivered. The Heart of Invictus didn't score highly. Nobody remembers the business show. And yes, they made quite a bit of inroads with their docu-series. Now, as you all remember, Meghan decided that she was going to tease, reveal, all that sort of stuff on the Variety red carpet, the one where she was head to toe in beige and no doubt looking like she'd been covered in creosote. Well, that was, of course, the, well, shall we say, moment she was letting everybody know she was well and truly back. This Thursday is the day she will be presenting at least 3 of those packages to the bosses of Paramount. And hopefully, unlike Pearl, they will snap them up and she will find a new home. Just to confer, there will be no mega deal. It's certainly not going to be in the Netflix bracket. But right now, Meghan would be grateful for any eyeballs to prove to the rest of Hollywood that indeed she is a powerful player. Now, without this particular backup, it's going to be tricky. I believe, in fairness, that Paramount will offer her a deal. As I said, nowhere in the legion of the Netflix deal when they were the darlings, the cream of the crop of budding Hollywood. But the bottom line right now is Meghan would be grateful of any exposure and indeed any crumbs, maybe even a few pence. And as we often say, as Meghan knows, every penny counts. I think there's a slogan in that, don't you? Neil Sean, Kensington, London.